if your individual holes.
Hello, welcome to Y.A.R.P episode 111. And Jake, I heard you like dinosaurs.
What?
I do partake in the casual paleontological enjoyment. Yes.
You just made that word up.
Yeah, why are you saying made up words?
All words are made up. Haha.
So
So-
this is going to be a special Dino Bro episode that we're doing.
Yeah.
Max, scoot closer to your mic.
No.
He's comfortable on his new bed, so that's excusable.
Your argument is
So-
valid.
Yeah. So
Before I
I
have
figured
bed.
that
Sorry, the bed just memorized where my body was.
So, I feel as if since this is well they do have like narratives and whatnot in them. It is a documentary, so I feel as if we should probably get into sort of like the
Well,
history and maybe
all-
like the
First of all,
yeah.
what are we getting into?
We're getting into walking with dinosaurs. Yeah, walking with dinosaurs.
So what is that?
It is a nature it is a documentary, but more specifically, it is the documentary about prehistoric life, like the one. It changed the game for how they would be presented from here on out, because beforehand you still had plenty of them, but like for example, the one I like to reference is Paleo World. The difference is that Paleo World, while I find it interesting, it's still just a bunch of nerds talking about things that died like millions of fucking years ago.
Yeah,
and a lot of people would find that boring, which understandably so.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, and with the release of Jurassic Park, because because when it can talk about dinosaurs, it kind of always comes down to Jurassic Park. Let's be real, and understandably so. It inspired some people to decide to make it. And originally, if I got the Wikipedia thing up here, it was supposed to be. It was supposed to roll around the history of paleontology with some reconstructions, but they decided, hold on, wait a minute. What if instead we decided to go for just presenting a nature documentary, but with dinosaurs? And it's like, well, how are you going to do that? Well, thanks to Jurassic Park, we had this thing called CGI. And what we could do is we could just make scenarios in a computer and narrate over them.
And then find out who is
It
deadliest.
is deadliest. God damn it, I was
Deadly.
literally going for that fucking chest.
Because of the way you said that. Like,
Yeah.
computer simulation is like,
Simulation. The multiple X factors.
Brought by Alienware Studios. The Alienware?
No, but well, also like blending in a lot of practical effects for the close-up shots, and that's what like made it unique, is because it's been, like something like a Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, or I guess much later on would be like Blue Planet, which is something or pretty much anything David Attenborough was in.
Yeah. For quick
So-
reference, however,
here
you
we
did bring
shall
up the fact that
see the
you
T-Rex.
brought up the fact that like it was Jurassic Park that kind of started this. I will
Yeah.
say, like I said, unfortunately, this is just the product of the time of the show, and obviously it didn't have the same budget as Jurassic Park. The CGI is very dated. However,
Well,
there are shots of the practical shots, like you said, like they're actually using like puppeteering and animatronics shot that actually looks pretty good.
Yeah,
yeah, like when we watched
and-
a dinosaur give birth.
yeah.
Or Precious Walter.
Water.
Mhm.
And
for context, we're starting with just episodes 1 and 2, which weren't
Yeah.
that long. Like, man,
no, they
we've
were
gotten
like
so-
30 minutes.
talk
Yeah.
about like being so used to like 1-hour TV shows or any of that kind of stuff. But I was just like,
Mhm.
oh, it's already over.
Yeah, because that's what these two episodes I think do really well, is that here's the information, here's a narrative that we can string together to get the audience invested in what's going on, then present the information, much like how a lot of nature documentaries do. Like when you watch a Blue Planet, they like follow a group of animals or a single animal, like a shark or something, for a long period of time, and then they string together some level of narrative, presenting the information to the audience. They're invested in what's happening on screen, and they're learning something that you couldn't really do prior to the advent of like CGI and working out the kinks, and so it's more available to everybody. You just had to have a bunch of nerds talking about dead things, and well, I do find that interesting, but normies don't, and I understand why.
All right, so first off, breathe. Second of all, did
Sorry.
did that robot for you too, Wyatt, or was that just on my
No,
end?
just you.
Okay, that was weird then. And,
Okay,
yeah.
so
So clearly, as you guys can no doubt tell, this is something of great passion for Jake. And honestly,
it is.
he will be won't you be working on a solo project essay thingy about this as well?
That was for Prehistoric Park, which is Walking with Dinosaurs adjacent.
Okay. So honestly, when you talk, Jake, sometimes I just fucking shut you out and I just pretend you're not there. But
Okay.
I for a second I thought both of these things were the same thing. My bad.
So I won't get too much into it, but
was literally
it's
I was
Walking
literally
with
waiting-
Dinosaurs adjacent.
I was literally waiting for the fucking guy you were bitching and whining about to like pop up. I was like, where the fuck?
No, but
I didn't
he
wanna say-
is.
I was doing the Palpatine face when the fucking ship was crashing. I was just like, where the fuck is the guy at? I was like,
No, not okay. So Nigel Marvin was in like Walking with Dinosaurs spin-off stuff, and that's kind of where Prehistoric Park kind of came from. But
Yeah.
that's a different. That's a different
Okay.
thing.
I mean,
Okay,
drink
yeah.
prehistoric water.
God damn it! No, okay, no, don't get me started. We'll be here all day.
I was about to say that will be on Jake's channel, which will be linked down below. Jake, plug it real quick.
Jake's a surgeon. Go subscribe. I haven't made it yet, but the script is basically
I
done.
haven't made it.
I know, and also that great plug, Jake.
I mean, to be fair, like at the very least, like all the info is always in the description. I always make sure.
Please check the description down below because Jake cannot speak because his
I
channel,
can't. You're right. You're right.
his
I can't
channel,
speak.
his channel has nothing to do with dinosaurs, so he doesn't give a fuck about it. So
Exactly.
anyway, let's get to something that he'll actually speak about. So,
Yep.
This first episode, Jake, take it away because you had some things that you wanted to bring up in notes and shit like that. So
Right.
feel free
So
to jump into them.
it does. I will say that it takes place during a time that I think a lot of documentaries kind of maybe not necessarily gloss over, but don't spend enough time on. At least from the ones I've seen and kind of paid attention to. There might be ones that are just exclusively about the Triassic that I'm not aware of. But it's such a fascinating time period because you had holdovers like the shit. I wrote the name down here in my notes. Let me just pull it up here for a second.
What you gotta do is stay on the objective so I can protect you.
The Placerius, the like those like the little tusk things, like those are like holdovers from the Permian in the sense of they're like these quasi sort of almost but not
So,
quite mammals.
I'm gonna do this thing, Jake, where I basically stop you, and I apologize for interrupting you. But
Okay.
you said they're holdovers of what?
The Permian era. It was the era right before the one that the series opens up in.
Okay, so one more time. The area they're coming from is what?
The Permian.
The Permian. And then the era that we're studying in this first episode is what?
The Triassic.
Triassic. Okay. See, I don't really
Yeah,
know
which-
Permian, but I do know Triassic period. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, I'm
I
a
know
normie when it comes to
I know
dinosaur
Jurassic
stuff,
Park.
so. Yeah, so everyone
So-
knows it's the Permian era, the Triassic era, and the Jurassic Park era.
Yeah.
That's how
But,
how history is reported.
But yeah, like that, which is it because like it is very interesting in that while dinosaurs did exist, they weren't
Real.
they weren't they weren't what they would become. They were still not low on the totem pole, maybe in like the early to mid Triassic, but by the late Triassic they were like in the middle of like the lack of a better term hierarchy. You still had ones like Postosuchus that we see, which is like the big predator in this episode, which these groups like they were like essentially if crocodilians had like a more erect posture. Well, actually, I think crocodilians started out with a more erect posture and then adopted the sprawling one. But okay, whatever. But
Sorry.
like I've always found those.
I did appreciate them adding that little thing in, saying it's like, yeah, these. Whoa,
So this is
the
what I
fuck?
sound like when I talk about Star Wars.
Yes, but
I might
what
be
the f-
getting I might be getting invaded in this vision. I had a weird pop up on screen.
okay. But one again, the first thing is that they say is like they called the Placerius a reptile, which is not true. They're not reptiles.
Yeah, I was about to say that was like one of the first things even I noticed. It's like because what are dinosaurs considered? Like
They are
Yeah.
reptiles.
they are
Dinosaurs
reptiles.
they
They're
are
not-
reptiles.
They're
Yes.
not amphibians, but they like water.
Not
Well,
only
talking-
like
talking-
ducks and penguins like water, and maybe Spinosaurus.
I mean, I like water.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
but
amphibian.
I'm an dinosaur.
yeah, but dinosaurs are
Well, technically,
reptiles.
you're
Na-na-na.
Technically, you're a skeleton, so I don't
That's
even
true.
know where that goes. Where did
So, yeah.
Well,
where
now-
does
well,
your
now
food
I'm a-
go?
Don't worry about it, dude. It's none of
So yeah, but dinosaurs
None of
are
your
considered
fucking
reptiles.
business.
Where I don't know specifically the clade of what Placerius was. I believe they are therapsids, which is, long story short, that's where mammals are and things that are almost but not there yet. Mammals
one more time.
are
What's it called?
therapsids.
Therapsids.
Therapsids, yes. That's where we are, and that's where they are, I believe.
So
but
in the
they
word
are,
mammals, we are also considered therapsids, or no?
yes, all mammals are therapsids, but not all therapsids are mammals.
Fair enough.
It's like
So
how
what's-
all chickens are birds, but not all birds are chickens.
Or jacuzzis.
So wait,
Yes.
what differentiates the? So what? Sorry.
You're good. You're fine. You're fine.
Say that again. Like, what is the what's the difference between a mammal and a what would be considered a mammal that's not considered a what?
Therapsid.
Therapsid, therapsid.
Well, mammals are a non-mammalian therapsid. So like what?
Non-mammalian.
So yeah. So like what? So the Placerius from this movie, from the show. The distinguishing characteristic and the defining one that mammals have, or is the easiest one, is the configuration of our inner ear.
Oh,
Like the three
Really?
bones that we have in our, yeah, that's one of the defining characteristics. And you have ones that don't have it, therapsids that don't have it. You have ones that are like, it's halfway there, and then you have some like another one that's like a quasi mammal in this episode. I'll get to a bit later, but they have it's almost there. It's missing one or two tweaks, but it's almost a true mammal.
what is it?
It's the cynodont. Remember the little barking doggy thing? Let me
Okay.
see.
The
Yeah.
the leathery honey badger.
Yeah, which, I think that'd be a neat. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. I'll get back to that in a little bit. I'm just going about the Triassic. Sorry, got a little bit. I don't know. I'm just excited.
My job is to keep you alive in Warframe and to keep you on track with the conversation. So, but
Yeah.
feel free to fucking
I will
feel free
say
to nerd out all you want to, because I actually
Yeah.
find this is
Well,
fascinating. That like you.
this
you-
is
like, it's-
fascinating.
It's fascinating that you're so autistic. Sorry, no, it's fascinating that you're so like into like stuff like this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is something
Yeah.
that you actually
Some-
find true passion in. It's really good. I like it.
Yeah,
And this is honestly a first for us as well, just because like over here on this channel we're mainly just fiction guys. Like we talk about
Yeah, like
movies
I'm not
and
even a
video
real person,
games.
really.
Yeah, you're
You're
yeah,
true.
skeletons
You're a skeleton.
are people.
Yeah, I'm a skeleton. Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
I'm a
That's
twin
very-
man.
that's
I'm
very
only
cal- that's
half
very-
person.
It's very calciphobic of you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So-
But kind of going back to how fascinating the Triassic period was, because it's this era where you're recovering from the biggest mass extinction that the planet has ever had. And I'm talking about the Permian mass extinction is referred to as the Great Dying, because 95% of all life went extinct at that point.
95?
95%,
Holy
yes.
shit! What happened? What was the
Basic
great,
one
extinction
of the big catalysts of it was Siberia exploded because Siberia is a volcano.
Oh, I thought you
Oh.
were gonna say because of Jesus.
what killed the
No,
dinosaurs?
Siberia is just
The
a,
Ice Age.
so it's because they're called the Siberian traps. If you go there, it's basically this like
Traps.
ancient magma that looks like a bunch of stairs.
Magma.
Yeah, so like Siberia exploded, that is one factor that happened because a bunch of volcanic ash went into the atmosphere, heated it up, and then that also heated up the oceans. And when the oceans got heated up, it freed up a lot of frozen methane pockets, and then that rose to the surface and heated up the atmosphere even more. And then you had like you had bacteria that thrive, or maybe not bacteria, but microbes that thrived in that sort of condition. That instead of producing oxygen, their waste is like carbon dioxide. So you had all of that going into it. Was awful.
Sounds like a really bad time.
Yeah, it was really bad. And like,
what would you rate that neighborhood on Yelp?
I probably a strong 1.
And it's bold, but I mean, like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel.
Yeah, but and that's why I find the Triassic very interesting as well, because funnily enough, you have the Great Dying, and then you have like, okay, well, things are starting to recover. Then you have another mass extinction event happened at the end of the Triassic that this documentary didn't go over, but it's like. It was just basically a bunch of volcanic activity that went off. It wasn't as devastating as the Permian extinction or even the Mesozoic extinction, which we'll eventually get to.
So this is when Moses was around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause that's where the Mosasaurus comes from. Duh.
Ah!
Come on, keep up.
I believe it does get its name from Moses, but I would need to double check.
For a second, it sounded like I did believe he had one, and that's so I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he had a Mosasaurus.
I was gonna say the Bible would have been awesome if there were
That would've
fucking
been
dinosaurs
a
in it,
sick
man.
fucking Bible study, not gonna lie. Moses
like-
split the ocean.
all
How?
right,
Did Manacles decide? No, he threw his Mosasaurus at it. And it's fucking. It's confirmed that fucking.
Use your Mosasaurus, Moses.
Moses was the first fucking Pokemon trainer.
Yeah.
Man, this.
Or what was that game called? Was it actually called like fucking Fossil Hunter or whatever?
Oh, you mean Fossil Fighter?
Fossil Fighter, yeah. He was the first Fossil Fighter.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And-
so yeah,
really
another.
cool. We should write
another
Bibble too.
Yeah,
Good
and
shit,
I
bunch of
believe
giggling.
if I'm getting my dates correct, this episode, the first episode, takes place right before the mass extinction is going to happen, because you already had
I believe I remember seeing like the end of. Like I said, I saw this as a kid in elementary school, so like I have a very vague memory of it. I just remember precious water because like the entire fucking classroom exploded in laughter at that shit.
Yep.
And then
And,
there was the fucking extinction event at the end of it, and unfortunately, spoilers for the future, is that like people laughed at how it was depicted. But,
So,
kids are gonna kid.
That leads to another inaccuracy. Because
well.
Postosuchus is a reptile, it can't do that. It can't like spray like a cat does. Because
Or fire
when I gotta get to my notes here for a second.
Good.
Uh,
I believe on top.
so,
while he's
post it- so
looking, I was
so-
just gonna say, while he's looking at his notes, this is very fascinating, like from both your perspectives, because yeah, my school didn't look at any of this at all. In fact,
What's fascinating about that?
more just the fact that I just never had any exposure to this show, like, period. So this is my first
But
ever
yeah,
watching
but,
of
like,
it.
yeah, that's not fascinating. So shut the fuck up.
exactly. You're not done
No,
talking about
no, that's
dinosaurs.
fair.
Yeah, that's fair. But because Postosuchus is a reptile, reptiles don't. They urinate, quote unquote, but it's not like the
real
same
quick,
way.
I feel
that-
like we need to address this giant fucking elephant in the room.
Yes.
Why aren't dinosaurs considered lizards?
Okay. So lizards are on the,
Hey,
like
man,
think.
Wyatt, this
okay.
is his episode.
Okay, so think of it like
You
this.
can hold on for one episode, I promise.
This is gonna
think of
be
it
one
like-
episode.
Well,
Think
this
so,
is the decision.
so-
we could have watched fucking. We could have watched Devil May Cry. Just pointing that out.
So dinosaurs are what are like are on the branch known as Archosauria. This is where you have your pterosaurs and your crocodiles and alligators and whatnot.
Right.
Whereas squamates are lizards, and this also includes snakes because snakes are
Say-
indeed lizards.
Did you say squad? What was that?
Squamates.
Squamates, not squad mates. Squamates.
Yes,
okay.
squamates. Sorry, I'm talking. I know I'm
Squama.
talking a bit. I know I'm talking a bit too fast.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Take a breath, dog. Like I said, I don't mind
Okay.
fucking finding these conversations, but like we need to make sure it's listenable.
Okay, but yeah. So which it's basic like so you squamates, and then that includes snakes, because snakes are indeed lizards, and then you have this other third thing that's
I don't
called
believe you.
a Tuatara, which I'm not going to get into that group because that's a whole bundle of webs and stuff.
Why do they split webs?
No, it's just
Are
that
they
like
related to
they're.
Madame Web?
I mean, yes, they can see the future. But
I was drinking, I almost choked. Don't do that. That was stupid. That was so retarded. So stupid.
but
I mean, we can
You
all
should
see
feel
the
bad.
future, but we see it only at a second at a time.
God damn it!
This is true.
Fucking interception.
But so like basically they're on this branch called Lepidosauria.
Whoa.
So
We need to put them in the wood chipper now.
Lepidosauria or fuck, that's god damn it. It's like Lepidosauria because I use an e sound when I talk about that rather than I think it's supposed to be.
When you talk about
supposed to have the I
Lepidus.
sound. Yeah, but basically, so like you have like reptile, and then you have the Lepidosaurs on one side, which includes lizards, and then on the opposite side you have Archosauria, where you have dinosaurs. Oh, turtles are also there as well, and Archosauria.
I thought turtles are amphibians.
No, they're
turtles
not. They're
are
reptiles. They're
reptiles.
reptiles.
Didn't you see Over the Hedge?
No.
Oh, it's not a good
No.
movie.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
That's
really
why I
funny when
didn't
the
do it.
squirrel like enters Matrix bullet time when he drinks the energy drink, though. That's pretty funny.
Oh, I think I've seen that because, hey, I like speed. So yeah, I saw that scene.
Yeah, it's pretty
POV,
funny.
your
But,
average Gauss experience.
Average Yale's experience, and it's just like all those fucking scenes at like 500% speed. Like,
But,
I'm talking about,
yeah.
I'm talking about both X-Men scenes. I'm talking about like the fucking the Flash scene from fucking Snyder Cut, like all of that. Just Mayo
The Black
put all
Adam
those together.
scene.
Yeah, the Black Adam scene, and like, but all of them overlaid on top of each other with like limited opacity at like 1,000% speed. So it's like they're moving in real time.
But yeah, that's why dinosaurs aren't considered lizards because they are as distantly related. Both the groups are as distantly related as it is possible for reptiles to be.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
but even if they're distantly related, though, can't they still technically be related?
They're related in the sense of that they're reptiles, and obviously all life in and of itself is related. They're also animals. They're
Oh
also
yeah, because
vertebrates.
everything has like a reptilian like.
and even the
Or
name
something like
Raptor comes from bird of prey.
Well, raptor is Latin for thief, so but you know that's.
I hate that game.
But
Anyway.
yeah, like that's why like they're not lizards, even though dinosaur means terrible lizard. Although
Terrible lizard.
no, yeah, dinosaur means terrible lizard.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You learn
Because
something new
when they were
every day.
Exactly.
because when they were discovered, you know, they were an entirely new
They were-
form of organism at the time. So like
They were terrible.
yeah. But the discovery of dinosaurs and all that is a different conversation to have for a different day.
Yep, that could be something to say. But for now, we need to fucking refocus. So,
Yes.
we're still in the first episode, right?
Yes, we are.
All right. What do you got for your notes?
There's also the fact that the little dog things, the cynodonts.
Yeah.
So they are cynodonts. However, calling them cynodonts would be like calling a cat a carnivoran.
A carnivore.
A carnivoran. So,
is that?
just long story short, so the term carnivore, you have the colloquial sense of just things that eat exclusively meat.
Yep.
But then you have the cladistic definition and classification
Whoa.
as a group that includes things like cats, hyenas, wolves, bears, dogs, seals, sea lions, mongooses, meerkats.
Monkeys.
So
You can't talk about this like that.
Mongooses. Monkeys.
mongoosei.
Octopi.
But yeah, it is like saying that because cynodont is a very high classification. Because fun fact, all mammals are technically cynodonts. This includes like horses, rabbits. They're all
Horse?
cynodonts. So
I mean, he might have been.
yeah, they are all cynodonts. So yeah, well, that is technically true. What is being shown on screen is a cynodont. It's it's less of an inaccuracy and more of like it might confuse the audience in the sense of like they may think Cynodon is one specific organism rather than an entire group of hundreds of thousands of organisms.
Okay.
And I do, and kind of getting back to the presentation of the episode itself, it does like in a way portray kind of like how the Triassic is throughout most of it. It's like things are drying up, the environment is changing, and a lot of the old guard, like the Postosuchus, like the Placerius, the ones that have been around a lot longer than, let's say, the Coelophysis, the dinosaurs for the most of the episode. There's the Plateosaurus at the end. Like they're the ones that are, they're the ones that are thriving. They're the ones that are like you see more and more Coelophysis as the episode goes on. That's because as the Triassic is like slow coming to an end, so is the old guard, and now the new guard are taking over. And I thought that was a really great way to like kind of present what happened in the past. I think that's a really neat. I think that's a really neat detail.
Mm-hmm.
And another inaccurate. I think it's more or less a slip of the verbiage, not necessarily maybe an inaccuracy. The narrator says that the pterosaur supports its wings are supported with its fingers. It's only
you
one
made a point
finger.
to say that was finger, like. So
it's the last.
So what does that mean?
So a pterosaur's entire wing, and this includes like the ones that are the size of giraffe, that don't exist at this point in time. But there are ones that are like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
And they can still fly.
No, it's weird.
They can still fly.
It's weird to think that these are like the same fucking species because like the cute little fucking thing that we saw on the screen in that thing. You know what I mean?
It'll take them a while before they're horrifying monsters, but yeah.
Fair enough.
A pterosaur wing is made up of the last digit on their arm. The entire wing, just one digit.
The last digit on their arm?
Yeah, the last digit, toe, finger, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. So like your pinky.
The pinky. Yeah, the pinky finger is their entire wing.
The most important finger.
That's fucking creepy. No, I think about it.
It's the pinky finger is their entire wing. Now I think that's more or less a slip of the verbiage because the design of the pterosaur that's in there is correct in the sense of like it is the basic pterosaur design, and we do see, like, if you pay attention, we do see one finger making up the entire wing. So I think that was just like a scripting error, maybe not necessarily what it's being portrayed on screen.
Yeah, because we had a bit of that when we were talking about what was the thing. It's like, oh, they mate for life, and it's like, well, how the fuck do you know that? But then Slur brought up actually a really cool. Fuck, I wish Slur was here, or at least he wrote that down.
Mm-hmm.
But Slur actually brought up a really good point about like seeing the bone design and stuff like that, and seeing like which ones like match up with their genetic like makeup or whatever. I'm too tired and Slur's too smart for me, so like message him on Twitter at Hasanabi on Twitter. And he'll let you know.
What if suddenly Hassan just gets a bunch of messages about
a fucking shitload of messages about fucking dinosaur mating patterns? That would actually be in like getting like it wouldn't be becoming famous. It would be trolling Hassan.
But anyway. Like the mating for life thing,
where are these coming from? Because fuck you.
The mating for life thing is like pure speculation. However, it's not necessarily an unfounded assumption. Yeah. So it's like they couldn't have, they might have.
Yeah, it's like, my whole thing is like, how the fuck do you know? But it's like, no, what you and Slur fucking laid out, it's like, okay, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, because like,
were you there?
I thought not. I was, and I watched, and I recorded. What?
Yeah, and this first episode, hold on, I'm gonna kill this guy right here that's in front of me. This first episode. Oh,
he's getting in the way of my dinosaurs.
Yeah, this first episode
that's
on
a
the
punishable
Wikipedia.
By death in his society.
Yeah. So the UK viewers for this first episode was 18.91 million people watched this.
Yeah.
Now, for reference to some of our younger people in the audience.
Yeah, and just for reference, this is after Jurassic Park, right?
Yes, this is several years. This was released in 1999.
Yeah, because
So a good
like,
while after both the first two Jurassic Park movies.
not to make it about Jurassic Park, but yeah, there was a spike in like I almost said archaeology, paleontology, right?
Paleontology. Yes,
Yeah,
paleontology.
there was a spike in paleontology studies and shit like that post Jurassic Park, which was I found actually really interesting. How a piece of media is actually able to influence the science of the world.
Not only that, the public perception of dinosaurs, because prior to Jurassic Park, people thought them this slow, lumbering, dumb, like inactive, like lizard-like
I mean,
reptiles.
yeah, to
then-
the point that that's still like, and media also kind of hasn't helped that. Like, that's why they, like, don't move. It won't see you if you don't move.
Well, that's just weird because like it just that just doesn't even make sense in
Yeah, it
that
doesn't make sense. How
movie
the fuck
for
would you know
multiple-
that?
Yeah, like first off, there's evidence to suggest that's not even the case because like its eyes were huge and its optic nerves when we do scans of the brain case are fucking massive. It had phenomenal vision. And by the way, like how does it not run into fucking trees all the time if it only sees things that move?
Well, obviously.
Plus, it would also still smell you because its olfactory lobe was
Who's to
massive.
say that it didn't, though? Who's to say
Yeah,
that it
that's what I
didn't run
say.
into trees all the time?
That
'Cause
would
it's
be
a
really
fucking-
funny. And why aren't we watching a fucking Jurassic movie about that? That'd be fucking great. Just running into trees and shit.
Yeah.
Just
But,
a dinosaur from Meet the Robinsons.
But yeah, and
But no, that's actually a very
because
good point. I literally didn't even fucking think about it. Yeah, it would, unless there's the fucking wind is just constantly blowing. Yeah, it would just fucking headbutt trees all day.
yeah, and because Jurassic Park, just said, hey, dinosaurs are not these slow, lumbering, stupid animals. They are fast, quick, they're active. You will, if one decides
will
to chase
fear
you
me.
down, the chances of you surviving are very, very slim because they're fast predators. At least like the carnivores, the carnivores certainly were, but it changed that sort of public perception. And then it's like, okay, what if we took that correct depiction in the sense of how they like were, in the sense of how they acted and how they acted, and then we went like, let's actually put the science behind it while also doing this stuff, which sort of like circles back to the whole like presenting it as a nature documentary rather than just nerds talking. And I think that is what helped people because this was it was the most viewed science program of the 20th century. Now, to be fair, it came out like in the last half of the 20th century. It was like October of 1999 that this released, so like not necessarily fair, but it was still like it was an event. Like I remember this, and like people like more than normies watched it, and I think that is worth mentioning. Like normies decided to lock in, tune in, and say, "I'm gonna watch this nerd shit."
And even though
And
it released on the you said it's an English show, right? So released for the BBC.
Yeah, it's from the UK BBC. Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, it still like reached fucking like schools and shit like that. Like I said, we watched
Big
fucking elementary
black
school.
British.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big,
And
big black critish.
Yep. And
Big
we're not
black
even then,
crawfish.
and we're
man, my
only
favorite.
really even on, and we're only on like the. I think I've said enough about the first episode.
Yeah.
So on to the second episode where we go into the golden age of the dinosaurs, the Jurassic.
Yep.
This is ironically enough, it's called Jurassic Park, but like almost all the dinosaurs were from the Cretaceous.
Wait, they were? Yeah, I remember hearing about
Yeah,
that.
T-Rex, Triceratops, Gallimimus,
Gallimimus?
Gallimimus, the
Gallimimus.
Which one was
yeah,
that?
Those
The-
are the
remember
ones
when
that the tree that they had to hide behind the tree.
yeah.
Oh, there's
in
one
the first movie.
Brontosaurus? Oh, wait. What?
No, the ones that the T-Rex was chasing when they had to hide on that stump.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Gallimimus, Velociraptor was also Cretaceous as well. But yeah, and then we move on to the Jurassic, and we follow a Diplodocus, which is a sauropod. And for those who don't know what a sauropod is, it's the long neck dinosaurs. And they also like did something interesting there as well.
What
And
kind of
that
dinosaur are you? Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
Where are your
and that
eggs?
is
Dinosaur
and
sketchy.
then
Back to you.
and in which they do is they follow like the life cycle of a sauropod, which is neat. Um,
Don't they call the babies sauropodlings
sauropodlets. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
oh,
cute.
that sounds oddly like a thing I can't say while
I was
recording.
going to. I thought you were about to say it. I was about to go.
Sounds
No.
like a sauronid.
But yeah, and it all and that also kind of just shows that yeah, sauropods got massive. They got huge, and their size was their defense. And once they reached full grown, I mean, good luck trying to take a full healthy one down.
Yeah, but wait, that was a pretty sick fucking action.
What if
scene, too, the
what if I
fucking
used a
Allosaurus
bear
trying to
trap?
flip
Yeah.
sword. Yeah,
A bear
consider
trap.
that,
It would.
dude.
It probably. I don't even think it'd pierce the skin that much, honestly.
Oh, you telling me it wouldn't even feel like stepping on a Lego?
Probably not. No. Probably crush the thing. Like.
Honestly, yeah, it might fucking feel like a scratch, like basically the equivalent of you stepping on like a fucking like a particulate of glass. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there's something irritating my foot, and that's it.
But but because they get so big, and this is something that elephants also have to deal with is as well, is that it takes a long time for them to become full grown, and astronomically a long time, despite the fact that there was like they put on like 1 ton a year, is what they said in the episode of how much bigger that they actually get, and it takes them a staggeringly long time to get that big.
Real quick, intermission for Warframe talks. Wyatt, make sure this is where we get oxygen, so make sure you run around the battlefield a couple times.
Yep.
So yeah, no, the Allosaurus. Like you also mentioned that you said is Allosaurus one of your favorites?
I would say one of my favorites, but I certainly do like Allosaurus quite a bit.
Yeah, you kind of pogged out when he was popping up. Just saying.
Yeah, I love Allosaurus, man. He's great. Like,
When do we get the freaking T-Rex?
it's the last episode.
Hell yeah.
Uh,
Spoilers. Goddamn. We're not there.
Although, funnily enough, there is a Walking with Dinosaurs special called The Ballad of Big Al that follows an Allosaurus.
Ballad of Big Al. Quick segue. What the fuck is that?
It's just the Walking with Dinosaurs special. It's like, like it did really well, so they kind of had like
Extra
not
budget.
a lot, but a few like little specials. 2 of which involved the absolute like mad lad that is Nigel Marvin, and then one was the Ballad of Big Al that follows the Allosaurus named Big Al,
Was this
which is I
actually a
believe is an
thing?
actual specimen that.
I was about to say
that
that
is
wasn't
named.
like I feel like that would have been actually a specimen because scientists are nerds. Who would have fucking
Yeah.
thought?
But yeah, like Sue. There's Sue the T-Rex. There's
Yeah,
I
Stan
love
the T-Rex.
Sue.
Lucy the Australopithecus.
God, there's like one. Name another famous one.
Another famous dinosaur.
I would have laughed my ass off if you just said Sue again.
I mean, like that's like the most famous.
Sue the Suosaurus.
Well,
No,
Sue the
yeah,
T-Rex.
I feel like there's one like missing, and I feel like it's like one I know. It's just like tip my tongue or something out. But fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like yeah. It's like it's kind of like Excuse me. It's kind of like how just naming conventions in general work and stuff like that. It's like fucking 40 for reference 40K so white can be part of the conversation. Like you know how like old One Eye and the Swarmlord or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. The hive mind doesn't call them that. But that's just what like the scientists and researchers call them.
Yeah.
They kind of
Yeah,
give them like a
it's-
title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there wasn't really much inaccuracies that I could find with this episode in particular, outside of some of the. There was one that I was like kind of debating on when it said that Brachiosaurus is the largest land animal to walk, when Argentinosaurus was discovered in '93.
Yeah, I actually learned about Argentinosaurus. Yeah, they're fucking huge, dude. That was crazy.
But I'm not entirely sure, like, because at the time they were still. I don't know if it had yet have been that it was described, because typically you'll have something be discovered, and then it'll take like a couple of years for them to describe it and name it.
Uh-huh.
And
That's the fascinating thing about like these like research things, stuff like that, especially with like dinosaurs. It's because like all of this shit is like being the whole point of like this series is like kind of put it like as a nature documentary and kind of like show it off. But like this
Mhm.
is still so like what's the word? But in its infancy and like what we understand and stuff like it would be considered its infancy compared to like what we know now kind of shit.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
But then it's
'Cause,
also funny because like it goes into like the Jurassic Park thing. It's like, oh yeah, fucking dinosaurs had feathers and shit. But it's like, yeah, like Jurassic Park got that wrong, but we wouldn't have fucking known that if Jurassic Park didn't exist. You know what I mean? The idea is
Yeah.
that like the spike in fucking paleontology and shit like that passion and that spike is the reason why people know that fucking Jurassic Park is wrong, kind of thing.
yeah,
It's not as like a crazy as an example as like the fucking the Kessel Run in like 12 parsecs or whatever. Because like we just didn't fucking know back then, and now we do.
yeah. And
But honestly, we probably wouldn't know without these fucking cultural touchstones.
Well, yeah, that's
Exactly.
just like, for example, Neil deGrasse Tyson like became a physicist because of Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like, because at the end of the day, scientists are just fucking nerds as well. So
They're
And
nerds
that's
Yeah,
that
massive
actually
nerds. And I'm not-
decided to
and
do
I-
something with all that big
I
brain
was gonna say,
energy.
like, I'm not saying it in a disparaging way. Like, just they're nerds. You know what I mean? Like, they're just
Yeah,
like us.
it's just a fact. It's not something
Yeah.
to be looked in a negative connotation.
And besides, nerd, I feel like in the fucking colloquialism, nerds are actually cool nowadays anyway. So who cares? yeah,
It depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about like real nerds or the quote unquote fake nerds, like ever since like things like The Big Bang Theory, like really took over in popularity.
Let's not get into that. But yeah. But the idea is that like nerd culture has definitely fucking been on the uptake. Like
Yes.
fucking 30 years ago, you couldn't say you
mean,
like comic book movies.
I was going to
Nowadays,
say, yeah,
yeah, like nowadays though, like yeah, Big Bang Theory's fucking cringe. However, fucking Avengers is one of the biggest fucking franchises that ever exist.
yeah, and
So-
let's not forget like things like Lord of the Rings, which won like 1 billion Oscars and was one of the like most successful movie trilogies of all time. Like nerd stuff like is definitely been more popular than ever.
yeah.
Yep.
And like without Jurassic Park, we wouldn't have Walking with Dinosaurs.
Exactly. And without Jurassic Park and Walking with Dinosaurs, we wouldn't have all of the like things we could point out in the inaccuracies. Like I find that beautiful in a sense. Is like my whole point. Is that like
Yeah.
it's really fascinating that it's like, oh, these things are wrong. How do you know that? Well, because these things were wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's because these things crawled so we could walk. Or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and as for this, I didn't really see much in terms of inaccuracies. There might have been a couple things because, like the Argentinosaurus, I was gonna let that thing I'm gonna let slide because we still have such little. We don't have a lot of it. We have like some vertebrae and some ribs, and I think a couple pieces of a leg. It's just that there's those fragments that we have are so massive that like estimates put it around like a 90 some feet long.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go so I can get rid of this fucking bow.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Um,
I finally got that to 30 and I'm just sick of it. I'm a DACA man.
one thing-
I'm simple.
And one thing that I was like, when we're talking about the dung beetles there, I'm like, were there dung beetles in Jurassic? So I looked up, and, oh, there were dung beetles in the Jurassic.
Well, I thought
I actually
they,
didn't know that.
Well, actually, were they dung beetles? I thought they were like the prehistoric versions of dung beetles.
So they were dung beetles, not the specific ones that are alive today, but they were, they were dung beetles, I think in like that same family in which the ones that we're familiar with are in.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I did not know that. And well,
I know,
anything
I'm just
else?
half of that.
Yep. Anything? Trying to think of anything else in this episode that's that I
Like I
kind
said,
of want to mention.
Like I said, the fight between the Allosaurus and the
The
what was the thing called
Diplodocus.
again?
That was
What?
hype.
That was actually kind of
The
cool.
dip. Yeah, it was. It was.
It
was
shows
really
like exactly how big the fucking Allosauruses are, and like if that is like scientifically accurate to like what they can do as like their movements, it's pretty fucking scary.
They were big and they were not slow.
Yeah.
They may
Well,
not
that
have been super
motherfucker-
agile, but they could go. They could run.
Motherfucker hits that goddamn fucking not Brontosaurus with the goddamn fucking Hurricanrana and shit. It was fucking crazy
Yeah,
from out of nowhere.
yeah. I think that was the most common one that people are more familiar with was Allosaurus fragilis.
Mhm.
But there are even bigger Allosaurus species.
They're even bigger. What? Really?
Yeah, there was multiple species. I said this while watching it, but this might have changed because it's paleontology and like fucking they can't decide if Spinosaurus liked eggs or bacon with their waffles.
I mean,
Um,
it's funny
Well,
that you phrase it that way, but it is like weirdly like from what I've heard about like scientific discussions and shit like that. That is like weirdly accurate for like how
yeah,
fucking nerds figure shit out.
yeah, because it's like because Spinosaurus, even though we found a lot more of it over the past
I mean, that's
decade,
just yeah, that's just
but
science
still,
in general. Like, yeah, it's just constant proving and disproving other people's theories. That's just how we get it done.
But like the thing is, it's so funny to think that it's like, oh, these like scientific theories that are like at the pinnacle of like all intelligence and education. Meanwhile, how it was discovered? Fuck you, nerd! It wasn't like that.
yeah,
Stupid
kind of,
bitch.
yeah. Kind of, yeah. That's not
No.
necessarily inaccurate, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking making the joke. It's like, yeah, just
You didn't-
how it was.
You didn't tell me the ambassador was a fucking las gun.
What? Oh, you're just not using it.
It's
Fun fact: if you hit the alt fire, you can actually change it to a charge weapon.
Yeah. Also,
oh,
one
you are
thing that I
correct.
one thing that I actually have noticed more about the models in particular, and I'm not gonna say that this is like a bad thing, but they do repeat animations. Like,
Yeah, it was a
which-
bit. I pointed it out like with the fucking three. I keep wanting to call them brontosaurus. Jake. I'm sorry.
the-
like it's gonna be hard for me to.
Diplodocus.
It's gonna be hard for me to retain any kind of fucking knowledge. Just fucking letting
That's
everyone know.
fair. That's fine.
But like looking at that fucking like looking at things, like you clearly tell those were the same three models, same fucking animation. They're just sized slightly different for fucking
Yeah.
for distance.
Which I will say, there is nothing wrong with reusing models and animation cycles.
Yeah, animation's
'Cause-
hard, man, especially back then.
Yeah,
And once again, as shitty as it looked at times, I'll give it like passes for the time frame.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, the CGI is awful. It's like, yeah, it was also fucking 50 years old. Like, give it a fucking break.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
key thing that I always like to point out is like, because this is where my film tisms come in, like when it comes to the betterment of special effects, not only is it like just time and money, like sometimes the technology hasn't been made yet.
Yeah,
Like
there's
that's
also that fact. Yeah.
like remember like the big with just like cultural touchstones of film, technology had to be built to then make it. Like just how like with Star Wars, think about just how many innovations in both filmmaking and in like technology just had to be made just for the Death Star run. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
Snow White literally just
Yeah.
had to, in order to make it, they had to invent like new camera techniques.
yeah, and new ways of like editing in the sound, so that way like they recorded the music first so that they can then make the animation match up with the sound.
Mm-hmm. Man, I hope they never remake that movie.
Yeah.
But like one other thing that I actually find fascinating. Well, it is obviously speculation. It is 100% like believable and certainly plausible. Is that like the pterosaurs have like a symbiotic relationship with the Diplodocus, and like they like live on them, but they also like eat like the parasites and the bugs just from like that would rest on them.
Yeah,
Which
that
I thought
kinda
was, yeah, that's cool. It's like because like remora, like
fun. Yeah,
you got
things that
those little fish
things
that are on
fucking-
sharks and manta
yeah.
rays and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, like they're
Pokemon, yeah.
yeah the Pokemon, but they're like they live on sharks and manta rays and other fish, and like they eat the parasites off of them. And being attached to a big shark, or in this case a gigantic sauropod, means, well, predators aren't gonna want to fuck with you because you're on a giant sauropod.
Make the joke about comparison it to fucking Zoe from One Piece. So, Jake, you haven't gotten there, but there's basically an island that is just a giant walking elephant. And when I say giant, like in the middle of its back is a whole city.
Yeah, didn't we see like like the size comparison shit that it's
Oh, yeah,
bigger
it was
than the
fucking
Empire
huge.
State Building or something.
Yep, it's so fucking big because they have to climb up onto the back of it.
One
Yeah.
one and the one I'm familiar with is the one of the dragon gods from Fairy Tale has like multiple cities on it because
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like the
yeah,
size
yeah,
of
yeah.
a mountain.
Forgot about that guy. Yeah, that's also a really good example. Yeah, like it's funny how like yeah, stuff like art imitates life.
Yep. And yeah, like and as I kind of said, I can't think of I didn't notice any inaccuracies that I could see.
I mean, I really
There might be
didn't-
some that I'm unaware of, but
I really didn't like the communistic propaganda that popped up in the middle of it. That was kind of cringe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
just
was
said
pretty
like
cringe.
I'm a communist dinosaur.
I am a communist dinosaur. He said, looking at the fucking screen, and then all of a sudden, like, hat. What is that thing called? I almost said a krisholka, but I'm tired.
The
Fucking-
hammer and sickle.
What do you think of when you think Russian hat? People, fucking fill in the blanks.
Oh, that
Yeah.
thing. I used
Yeah,
to
that
know
thing.
its name.
Risholka or whatever. I don't know. I feel like I'm saying like a Russian slur or whatever. But the point is, yeah, it's a joke.
Our
for
Russian
haha.
audience, let us know.
Yep. Smugglana, I know you're gonna react to this. Please let us know.
Yes.
And also, please call me.
But yeah, I think that's kind of all I really have to say about that episode. Trying to mull it over in my mind to see if there's anything else I'd like to talk about. Is there anything else that you guys would like to mention that hasn't been
I feel
mentioned
like
before?
I feel like it's one of those things where like I kind of got most of my questions answered. Why?
Yeah, nothing in particular on my mind other than in sort of a meta stuff. Jake, does this make you feel better since what we
No.
watched last night?
Also, yeah, fuck Predator, the killer of killers. Anyone who says that,
That-
movie is good is a bad person.
we
Just gonna flat out say it. You know what? I'm just gonna say it.
I'm not mad. I'm
When-
just sad.
when next recording or something, I might just have that little clip of the predator fart dying and,
Yeah.
and just
God.
and just
Fuck
play it
these-
for the audience, like just to
But
fucking
yeah,
put.
we did this as a swan song for Jake before he kills himself after seeing you fucking Predator or killers. This
We were-
man,
We were like, Jake is just like 2 seconds away from killing himself. We better
like legit,
do
he
whatever he
sounded actually-
wants.
Like he sounds fine now because he's talking about dinosaurs, he's having fun. But like legit, last night he fucking sounded like completely.
Oh yeah,
defeated.
and when you were gone,
yes.
it was just me and him. Like I was just playing Batman, and he was just sitting next to me. It's just like Predator's
just-
dead.
I love
and
how
I'm
the
just
idea
like-
he's like sitting next to you. I like the idea of him just like sitting in like a chair next to you, and he's just looking down at his shoes.
He is like
That
that's how I was picturing
that was
it.
basically it. Yeah,
He's
that was
just, like,
basically
sitting-
it.
Just look, staring out into the middle distance is like his childhood was essentially raped in front of him.
I made the.
It wasn't
comparison
necessarily
there.
my childhood. It was my teenagehood, I guess.
It's a formative
Is that what you
fucking
call
piece
it?
of media for your
Yeah,
life.
It's a formative piece of media. Yeah.
And like, yeah, like I made the joke last night after recording. It's like, now you know how the South Park guys feel when they were talking about the Crystal Skull. Just that moment where
Yes.
fucking Cartman's making fun of him, and then Stan just goes, "Dude, I can't do this. I can't do this." And just like, "Will you leave?" He's just like walks away. It's like, oh no. And everybody
Maybe
actually looks really concerned, including Cartman. That's how you know it was
Yeah.
fucked. It was like, oh, what happened? Because that's how the episode started.
Yeah.
Remember that bit with the refrigerator? It didn't make any sense.
It didn't make any sense, Stan.
What?
They're raping. We feel like a pig, boy. We.
Anyway, so that was Walking with Dinosaurs.
Well, episode 1 and 2.
One and two.
Weapon 2.
Yeah.
We're not just
Weapon
gonna
2?
stop.
Weapon 2. You know what? Get me off this fucking crazy train, please. I'm about to die.
Alright, so unless there's anything else that's need to be said, all the normal plugs. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Wouldn't like. Re.
Oh yeah, we saw dinosaurs re at each other.